The human brain is a magnificent thing. It can contemplate the universe, create art, and feel deep emotions. It's also a cluttered attic full of dusty, nonsensical junk we mistake for truth. Today, we're not just cleaning house. We're taking 49 of the most stubborn pieces of that mental junk, the weird beliefs Americans cling to, and tossing them right out the window. Let's start the purge. 1. Some people genuinely believe you can absorb knowledge just by sleeping on a book. This isn't a metaphor for dedication. It's the literal belief that information will seep through the cover, through your pillow, and directly into your brain via osmosis. Imagine the sheer genius we could all be if this were true. Forget years of medical school. Just nap on a copy of Gray's Anatomy. Need to learn quantum physics? Ditch the lectures and just use the textbook as a headrest. Unfortunately, science and every failed exam prove otherwise. The only thing you're likely to absorb is a stiff neck and maybe some ink on your cheek. It's the ultimate life hack for the profoundly lazy, and sadly, it remains pure fiction. 2. A classic piece of folklore that gets whispered around funerals is that human hair and fingernails continue to grow after death. It's a wonderfully creepy image, isn't it? The deceased, still primping and preening in the great beyond. But this is just a morbid illusion. What's actually happening is that the skin around the hair and nails dehydrates and retracts, pulling back from the nail beds and hair follicles. This creates the appearance of growth. So, no, your dearly departed Uncle Bob isn't getting ready for a posthumous manicure. His body is just settling. It's a bit less supernatural and a lot more about basic biology, which is probably for the best. 3. You see them at the gym, drenched, looking like they just emerged from a swamp, convinced every drop of sweat is fat crying its way out of their body. The belief is that your body heats up specifically to burn fat when you sweat. Nope. Sweating is simply your body's air conditioning system kicking in to prevent you from overheating and keeling over on the treadmill. While vigorous exercise certainly burns calories, the sweat itself is just water, salt, and electrolytes making a grand exit. You're losing water weight, which you'll gain right back after chugging a bottle of Gatorade. Thinking sweat equals fat loss is like thinking your car gets lighter every time the AC drips. 4. There's a surprisingly persistent superstition that cutting your nails after dark invites bad luck or even summons evil spirits. This one actually has logical roots in a time before electricity. Imagine trying to give yourself a manicure by the dim, flickering light of a candle. The odds of trimming off a bit more than just the nail were pretty high, leading to infection and actual misfortune. In today's world of bright LED lighting, the only bad luck you'll encounter is stepping on a rogue clipping with your bare feet in the middle of the night. That's a special kind of pain that no evil spirit could ever dream of inflicting. 5. In an age of satellite imagery, live streams from the International Space Station, and global travel, there exists a dedicated group of people who are certain the Earth is flat. According to them, every photo from space is a CGI masterpiece. Every pilot is in on the conspiracy, and gravity is just a collective hallucination. They've crafted an entire alternate reality where NASA is the world's most elaborate and well-funded improv troupe. You have to almost admire the commitment. It takes a special kind of dedication to look at a sunset where the bottom of the sun disappears first and think, yep, totally looks like it's just moving away on a flat plane. 6. Cartoons have lied to us. The quintessential image of a mouse drooling over a wedge of Swiss cheese is a complete fabrication. While a starving mouse won't turn down cheese, they don't actually love it. In fact, the strong smell can be off-putting to their sensitive noses. Researchers have found that mice overwhelmingly prefer foods high in sugar, like grains, fruit, or peanut butter. So, if you're trying to catch Jerry, you should be baiting the trap with a Reese's peanut butter cup, not a chunk of cheddar. Mice apparently have a sweet tooth, proving they have more in common with your average toddler than we thought. 7. The idea that caffeine stunts your growth is a classic myth, likely invented by parents who wanted to keep the coffee all to themselves. It's been wielded for generations to deny kids a sip of that morning brew. Don't drink that, you'll be short forever, they'd say, while pouring their third cup of the day. There is zero scientific evidence to support this claim. Your height is determined by genetics, nutrition, and overall health. not by whether you enjoy a latte. The real danger of kids drinking coffee isn't that they'll stop growing, but that they'll start acting like tiny, hyperactive adults who demand to speak to the manager. 8. Here's an urban legend that just won't die. A penny dropped from the top of the Empire State Building can gain enough velocity to kill a person on the sidewalk below. It sounds plausible enough to make you walk a little faster in downtown Manhattan. But physics, that pesky party pooper, says otherwise. A penny is too light and flat. Air resistance would cause it to flutter and slow down significantly, reaching a terminal velocity of maybe 50 miles per hour. If it hit you, it would sting, sure. It would feel like a sharp flick on the head. Annoying? Yes. Lethal? Not even close. You're more likely to be taken out by a rogue pigeon. 9. You've probably heard this one whispered in panicked tones. Waking a sleepwalker can give them a heart attack, a stroke, or cause them to drop dead on the spot. This belief has turned countless people into amateur bomb disposal experts, tiptoeing around their sleepwalking spouse as if one wrong move will detonate them. The reality is far less dramatic. Waking a sleepwalker is perfectly safe. Are they going to be happy about it? Absolutely not. They'll be disoriented, confused, and probably furious that you yanked them out of a fantastic dream where they were about to win the lottery. So, the real danger isn't to their heart, but to your relationship when they start yelling at you for interrupting their dream vacation to Fiji. 10. For some, the sinking of the Titanic wasn't a tragic accident. It was the greatest insurance scam in history. This popular conspiracy theory claims the Titanic was secretly swapped with its older, slightly banged-up sister ship, the Olympic. The idea was to purposefully sink the damaged Olympic, disguised as the brand new Titanic, and cash in on the insurance policy. You have to appreciate the sheer audacity of this plan. It implies that hundreds, if not thousands, of workers, crew members, and officials were all in on a scheme that involved repainting a 46,000-ton ship and swapping out everything with the Titanic's name on it, just for some cash. It really puts a damper on Jack and Rose's romance, doesn't it? 11. Here's a fun fact to ruin your next smoothie. Bananas are radioactive, and that's not a myth. It's technically true. Bananas are rich in potassium, and a small fraction of naturally occurring potassium is the radioactive isotope potassium-40. Before you start building a lead-lined fruit bowl, you should know that the dose is infinitesimally small. To receive a lethal dose of radiation, you would need to eat roughly 10 million bananas in one go, at which point radiation would be the least of your problems. Your more immediate issue would be a catastrophic, banana-induced rupture. So yes, you're eating radioactive material, but you're also radioactive. We all are. It's the least intimidating superpower ever. 12. The belief that a late-night snack will summon demons in your dreams is an old classic. The theory goes that eating a heavy meal right before bed directly causes nightmares. While there's no direct scientific link proving that a slice of pizza will manifest Freddy Krueger in your subconscious, there is a kernel of truth here. A big meal can spike your metabolism and body temperature, which can lead to more active, vivid, and often bizarre dreams as your sleep gets disrupted. So, that nightmare where your teeth fell out while you were being chased by a giant chicken might not have been caused by the cheese, but the indigestion certainly didn't help create a peaceful slumber. 13. Every kid who loved reading past their bedtime has heard the threat. Turn that light off. You'll ruin your eyes. This myth was the ultimate weapon in the parental arsenal against flashlight-wielding story lovers under the bedsheets. But it's just not true. Reading in dim light can cause eye strain, leading to temporary discomfort, headaches, and tired eyes. It feels terrible, but it won't cause permanent long-term damage to your vision. Your eyes are resilient. This was likely just a clever tactic by parents who were tired of buying new batteries and just wanted you to go to sleep already. 14. This piece of advice has been passed down through generations, turning every sick day into a confusing culinary dilemma. According to this logic, your body becomes a bizarre restaurant where the menu depends entirely on your symptoms. Got the sniffles? Time to feast like a king. Feeling feverish? Sorry, the kitchen's closed. This belief likely stems from an ancient misunderstanding that fevers needed to be starved of fuel. In reality, your body needs calories and, most importantly, hydration regardless of whether you have a cold or a fever. Starving your body of nutrients when it's fighting an infection is like taking the bullets away from a soldier in a firefight. It's just bad strategy. 15. We've all heard it, and many of us have even taken the online quizzes. You're either a logical, analytical, left brain person or a creative, artistic, right brain person. This belief is so widespread it's practically treated as scientific law. The only problem is it's complete nonsense. While different parts of the brain do have specialties, both hemispheres are constantly working together for almost every single task you perform. Your personality isn't dictated by one dominant side. It's a convenient way to excuse your inability to do math. Oh, I'm just so right-brained. But neuroscience confirms your entire brain is to blame for that. 16. It's one of the most repeated, amazing facts in the world. The Great Wall of China is the only man-made object visible from space. It paints a beautiful picture of human achievement, doesn't it? Well, it's a beautiful lie. Astronauts have repeatedly confirmed that you cannot see the Great Wall with the naked eye from orbit. It's long, yes, but it's also narrow and made of materials that blend in almost perfectly with the surrounding terrain. In fact, astronauts have said it's easier to spot airport runways and major highways than it is to see the wall. It's a grand structure, just not grand enough to be seen from 250 miles up. 17. According to a classic piece of kitchen superstition, dropping a knife on the floor is a surefire sign that a visitor is on their way. It's a quaint little belief, turning a clumsy moment into a premonition. Of course, it has absolutely no basis in reality. There is no cosmic force that dispatches a guest to your home every time you fumble with the cutlery. Still, it's fun to imagine the rules. Does a steak knife mean a man is coming and a butter knife a woman? What if you drop a whole block of them? Are you about to host a party? It's nonsense, but the next time the doorbell rings after a knife drop, you might just wonder. 18. It's the first thing everyone says when your phone takes an unfortunate dive into water. Put it in rice. The belief is that a bed of uncooked rice will act like a magical sponge, sucking every last drop of moisture from your phone's delicate innards and bringing it back to life. While rice does absorb moisture from the air, it does so very slowly and inefficiently. It might pull a little water from the outside, but it does virtually nothing for the water trapped deep inside. Mostly, you just end up with a phone that's still broken, but now has rice dust and starch gumming up its charging port. 19. The old saying, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks," is often thrown around as an excuse for being set in one's ways. It's also a great insult to dogs, who are far more adaptable than we give them credit for. The truth is, older dogs can absolutely learn new things. You just might need a bit more patience and maybe some higher value treats. It's less about their ability to learn and more about your ability to teach. Trying to teach a 10-year-old retriever to fetch your slippers is a lot like teaching your grandfather how to use TikTok. It's possible, but it requires a calm demeanor and the acceptance that it might take a while. 20. The legend of alligators in the New York City sewers is a cornerstone of American urban folklore. The story goes that wealthy families bought baby gators as exotic pets, and once they got too big, flushed them down the toilet. These resilient reptiles then established a thriving colony in the subterranean filth. While there have been isolated gators found in and around the city, there is no evidence of a breeding population below the streets. Honestly, with the current cost of living in New York, a sewer might be the only affordable housing left. But even then, a gator would probably need a couple of rat roommates just to make rent. 21. You look up at a clear blue sky and see the long white trails left by an airplane. Most people see water vapor. Others, however, see chemtrails. This is the belief that the government is secretly spraying the population with a cocktail of chemicals for nefarious purposes like mind control, weather modification, or sterilization. If the goal is mind control, they are spectacularly failing. Most of us can barely decide what to watch on Netflix, let alone be compelled to do a government's bidding. The only thing these trails seem to be successfully doing is fueling one of the most persistent conspiracy theories of the internet age. 22. This belief has been the source of so much unnecessary anxiety. Shave your hair, and it will grow back thicker, darker, and angrier. It's a myth that has fueled razor hesitation for generations. Shaving simply cuts the hair at the surface of the skin, leaving a blunt tip. As the hair grows out, this blunt end feels coarser and more noticeable than the tapered end of an uncut hair, creating the illusion of thickness. If this were actually true, the multi-billion-dollar industry for curing baldness would have been replaced long ago by a simple subscription to Gillette. Men everywhere would just be aggressively shaving their heads, waiting for a luscious mane to erupt. 23. Here's a piece of wisdom likely passed down from your great-grandfather. Wearing a hat indoors will make you go bald. It's a strange superstition that seems to blend etiquette with bogus science. The theory is that a hat suffocates your hair follicles, cutting off their air supply and causing them to give up and fall out. Your hair, however, gets its oxygen from your bloodstream, not from the air around it. Unless your hat is so tight it's cutting off circulation to your entire head, at which point you have bigger problems than hair loss. It's not going to make you bald. The only thing it's guaranteed to ruin is your hairstyle. 24. For decades, chocolate has been the #1 scapegoat for teenage acne. It's the convenient villain that gets blamed for every pimple that appears before a big date. But it's time to offer a formal apology to the entire chocolate industry. Countless studies have shown no direct link between eating chocolate and developing acne. Breakouts are primarily caused by hormones, genetics, and bacteria, things a Hershey's bar has absolutely no control over. So, while a diet high in sugar and fat isn't great for your overall health, that single chocolate bar isn't the evil mastermind behind your skin troubles. 25. There's a weirdly specific belief that using your phone in an airplane bathroom is a catastrophic risk. The idea is that the phone's signal could interfere with the plane's navigation systems, perhaps bouncing off the tiny metal sink and sending the aircraft spiraling toward a remote island. In reality, modern airplanes are built to withstand all sorts of electronic interference. Your phone poses zero threat to the plane's operation. The rules against phone use are mainly about ensuring passengers are attentive during takeoff and landing. So no, scrolling through Instagram in the lavatory won't cause a disaster, but it might make you question your life choices. 26. Friday the 13th is unlucky. This superstition is so deeply ingrained in Western culture that it has its own horror movie franchise and a measurable economic impact, with people avoiding travel and business on this day. Grown adults will walk on eggshells, treating the date like a national holiday for bad luck. The fear itself has no clear origin, but it has achieved something remarkable. It's a belief built almost entirely on good marketing. Friday the 13th has better brand recognition for Bad Day than most corporations have for their actual products. It's a powerful reminder that if you tell people something is cursed often enough, they'll start seeing curses everywhere. 27. Remember the fat-free craze of the 90s? Fat was public enemy #1, the villain in every diet plan. People believed that to be healthy, you had to avoid all fats at all costs. But nutrition science has since staged a dramatic intervention. We now know that not all fats are created equal. There are bad fats, sure, but there are also good fats, like those in avocados, nuts, and olive oil. These are not only beneficial but essential for brain function and heart health. So the old belief is dead. Fat has been rehabilitated. It's no longer the enemy. You just have to hang out with the right kind. 28. The run-up to December 21, 2012 was a masterclass in mass hysteria. Many people were convinced that the end of the Mayan calendar cycle meant the literal end of the world. Doomsday preppers were stocking their bunkers, and news channels were breathlessly counting down. In reality, the Mayans never predicted an apocalypse. They just marked the end of a 5,125-year-long cycle. It was less of a prophecy and more like the calendar on your wall running out of pages on December 31st. You don't assume existence will cease. You just go out and buy a new calendar. The world kept spinning, proving that ancient civilizations were apparently better at long-term planning than we are. 29. We've all been warned by a panicked adult after accidentally swallowing our gum. That will stay in your stomach for 7 years. This myth paints a bizarre picture of a little wad of Publicious setting up camp in your digestive tract, paying no rent, and witnessing 7 years of your questionable dietary choices. The reality is far less exciting. While your body can't break down the synthetic rubber base of gum, it doesn't just hang around. Your digestive system is incredibly efficient at moving things along. The gum simply passes through your system and exits within a day or two, right along with that corn you ate. It's just a harmless, undigestible passenger. 30. The belief that humans only use 10% of their brain is perhaps Hollywood's favorite piece of pseudoscience. It's the premise of countless movies where a character unlocks their full potential and suddenly gains godlike powers. If we really only use 10%, brain damage would be a far less serious issue. Oh, he got hit in the head? Don't worry, it was probably in the 90% he wasn't using anyway. Neuroscientists have confirmed through brain scans that we use virtually every part of our brain, just at different times for different tasks. The only people who seem to be operating at 10% capacity are the ones who still believe this myth. 31. Here's a classic scare tactic straight from the parental playbook. Don't swallow watermelon seeds, or a watermelon will grow in your stomach. This terrifying image has led to generations of children painstakingly picking out every last seed with the focus of a bomb disposal expert. Let's be clear, your stomach is a highly acidic environment, not a fertile greenhouse. Nothing is growing in there. If this were true, summer barbecues would be a lot more horrifying, with people complaining about vines sprouting from their ears. Thankfully, the seeds will pass through you just like that gum you swallowed, without any internal farming. 32. This belief is a masterpiece of historical propaganda. The idea that eating carrots will give you superhuman vision, especially at night, was popularized by the British during World War II. They spread this myth to explain their pilots' incredible success in shooting down enemy planes in the dark. The real reason? They had just invented and secretly deployed radar technology. While carrots do contain vitamin A, which is essential for eye health and can prevent vision problems, they won't turn you into a nocturnal predator. You can eat all the carrots you want, but you'll still need a flashlight to find the bathroom at night. 33. According to age-old wisdom, going to bed with wet hair is practically an invitation for arthritis, pneumonia, or a host of other ailments. This belief has caused people to frantically blast their heads with hair dryers late at night, terrified of the consequences. The truth is, there is absolutely no scientific link between wet hair and joint pain or getting sick. Viruses and bacteria cause illness, not dampness. The single greatest risk you run by sleeping with wet hair is waking up with a hairstyle so chaotic and gravity-defying that you look like you've been electrocuted. A bad hair day is guaranteed. Arthritis is not. 34. It's an iconic image. The brave matador waving a bright red cape, enraging the bull. This has led to the widespread belief that the color red drives bulls into a furious rage. Here's the thing. Bulls are colorblind to red and green. They couldn't care less if the cape was red, purple, or covered in polka dots. What they are reacting to is the threatening, aggressive motion of the cloth being waved in their face. It's the movement, not the color. Frankly, if a person was flapping a large piece of fabric in front of you, you'd probably get pretty agitated too, regardless of its color. 35. There's a strange, joy-killing myth that eating ice cream in the winter will make you sick. The logic seems to be that consuming something cold when it's already cold outside will somehow shock your system and give you a cold. This is, of course, complete nonsense. Sickness is caused by viruses, not by enjoying a scoop of Rocky Road in December. If anything, eating ice cream in the winter makes more sense. The temperature contrast is lower, so it's less of a shock to your system than eating it on a 100-degree day. Go ahead, defy the myth. Your immune system can handle it. 36. The belief that a sneeze is a sign that someone, somewhere, is talking about you is a charmingly ancient superstition. It adds a little mystery to an otherwise mundane bodily function. One sneeze means they're saying something good. Two means something bad. If this were true, allergy season would be an emotional roller coaster of paranoia and flattery. "Who's gossiping about me now?" you'd scream between sneezes. In reality, a sneeze is just your body's forceful way of ejecting an irritant from your nose, whether it's dust, pollen, or pepper. It's about biology, not gossip. 37. Here's a belief that's actually rooted in fact. Eating spicy food makes you sweat. This isn't because the food is physically hot, but because it's a clever trickster. The active component in chili peppers, a compound called capsaicin, binds to receptors in your mouth that detect heat. Your brain gets a signal that says, "Warning, mouth is on fire," and initiates its emergency cooling protocol: sweating. So, when you're dripping sweat after eating a ghost pepper taco in the middle of January, it's just your brain having a full-blown panic attack over a false alarm. It thinks you're overheating, but you're just enjoying lunch. 38. This slanderous rumor has been plaguing frogs for centuries. If you touch a frog, you'll get warts. It's a myth that has made these harmless amphibians seem like warty, curse-wielding creatures. The truth is that warts are caused by the human papillomavirus, or HPV, which is a virus specific to humans. Frogs cannot carry or transmit it. Their skin might be bumpy, but those bumps aren't contagious. You're more likely to get a wart from a doorknob or a gym locker room than from handling a frog. On behalf of amphibians everywhere, we demand an immediate retraction and a public apology. 39. The belief that a black cat crossing your path brings bad luck is a superstition with a serious medieval PR problem. For centuries, these poor felines have been unfairly associated with witches and dark omens, forcing them to carry the burden of being a walking bad luck charm. In reality, a black cat is just a cat. Its primary concerns are napping in sunbeams, demanding food at inconvenient hours, and judging your life choices from atop the refrigerator. In many other cultures, like in Japan and Great Britain, black cats are considered symbols of good fortune. So the next time one saunters across your path, maybe you should thank it for the potential blessing instead of panicking. 40. According to a surprising number of people, the White House isn't just a hub of political power. It's also one of the nation's most prestigious haunted houses. Staff and guests have reported spooky encounters for decades, but the most famous spectral resident is supposedly the ghost of Abraham Lincoln. They say his lanky, top-hatted figure is seen staring out of windows or pacing the halls. Imagine Honest Abe's ghost materializing in the middle of a heated policy debate, silently judging the proceedings. It might be the only thing that could get politicians to actually stop talking and listen for a moment. A ghostly heckler might just improve the quality of governance. 41. Many people treat mouthwash like a magic potion, a minty blast that can permanently vanquish bad breath. The reality is that mouthwash is more of a cover-up artist than a cure. It's a temporary fix, a fragrant smokescreen that masks the underlying problem for an hour or two. Persistent bad breath, the kind that can clear a room, is often a symptom of deeper issues like gum disease, dry mouth, or something you ate that has decided to haunt you from within. Relying solely on mouthwash to fix it is like using air freshener in a house that's on fire. It might smell minty for a minute, but the problem is still there. 42. Waking up. During surgery means you'll feel the pain. The idea of waking up mid-operation is a primal fear, the plot of a personal horror movie where you're the unwilling star. While anesthesia awareness is an incredibly rare phenomenon, it almost never involves feeling pain. Anesthesiologists use a sophisticated cocktail of drugs for consciousness, pain, and memory. Even in the 1 in a million chance you become aware, you won't feel the procedure. The real horror isn't the scalpel, it's the risk of waking up to hear your surgeon complaining about his golf swing or asking if you have any plans for the weekend. That's a conversation no amount of anesthesia can make bearable. 43. Vaccines cause autism. This is the zombie myth that refuses to die. Born from a single, completely fraudulent study by a disgraced doctor in the late 90s, this idea just keeps shambling on, despite being shot in the head with a cannonball of scientific evidence. Every credible medical organization on the planet has confirmed there is no link. Believing this myth today is the intellectual equivalent of insisting the Earth is flat after you've personally orbited it in a spaceship. Science hasn't just debunked this belief. It has buried it under a mountain of data so massive it has its own gravitational pull. 44. The rigid rule that you must drink exactly 8 8-ounce glasses of water every day has become an unshakable commandment of modern health. People walk around feeling guilty, convinced they are chronically dehydrated because they only had 7 glasses. This specific 8x8 rule has no solid scientific origin. While staying hydrated is crucial, Your body is smart enough to get water from all kinds of sources, including coffee, tea, soup, fruits, and vegetables. That slice of watermelon you're eating is over 90% water. So relax. You don't need to be chugging water like it's your full-time job. Just drink when you're thirsty. 45. Here's a well-intentioned lie that has saved countless baby birds from curious children. If you touch a baby bird, its mother will smell the human scent and abandon it forever. This has created a generation of kids who look at a fallen chick with the same terror as if it were a tiny feathered landmine. The truth is, most birds have a terrible sense of smell. They identify their young by sight and sound. A bird's maternal instinct is far stronger than its ability to detect your human cooties. While it's always best to leave wildlife alone, if you have to return a chick to its nest, its parents won't even notice. 46. The belief that a pot of gold waits at the end of a rainbow is the ultimate childhood get-rich-quick scheme, likely invented by leprechauns as a form of long-distance trolling. It's a beautiful, magical idea that has inspired countless hopeful journeys across wet fields. Sadly, a rainbow isn't a physical object you can reach. It's an optical illusion, a trick of light and water droplets that depends entirely on your position. The end of the rainbow moves as you move, always remaining tantalizingly out of reach. The only thing you're guaranteed to find at the end of a rainbow chase is disappointment and muddy shoes. 47. Some people view their microwave as a magical but malevolent box, a sci-fi death ray that zaps food with radiation until it's a sad, nutritionally void husk. The belief is that microwaving utterly destroys all the vitamins and nutrients, turning a healthy meal into gray mush. The truth is, any form of cooking that involves heat, boiling, frying, baking, can reduce the nutrient content of food to some degree. Because microwaving cooks food so quickly and uses less water, it can actually be better at preserving certain nutrients than methods like boiling. So no, it's not a nutrient assassin. It's just a very impatient oven. 48. Lightning never strikes the same place twice is one of those folksy sayings that sounds wise but is, in fact, terrible advice. It's used as a metaphor to suggest that a catastrophe is unlikely to happen again, but reality begs to differ. Lightning is just electricity looking for the easiest path to the ground, and it loves tall, conductive things. The Empire State Building, for example, gets struck by lightning an average of 25 times per year. Roy Sullivan, a park ranger, was hit 7 different times. Lightning isn't creative, it's lazy. It will absolutely strike the same place twice if it's a convenient target. 49. The Bermuda Triangle has been marketed for decades as the planet's most mysterious and deadly patch of ocean. A supernatural vortex where ships and planes are swallowed by aliens, time warps, or portals to another dimension. The reality is a crushing disappointment for conspiracy theorists. The Devil's Triangle is simply a heavily trafficked area of the Atlantic that experiences unpredictable and severe weather. The number of disappearances is not statistically significant compared to other parts of the ocean with similar traffic and weather patterns. Many of the most famous cases have been wildly exaggerated or outright fabricated. There are no aliens, just bad weather and shoddy reporting. All right, your turn. We've exposed 49 pieces of popular nonsense, but the most resilient myths are the ones your favorite uncle defends with his life every Thanksgiving. Go down to the comments and expose the single most ridiculous belief you've ever had to argue against. Don't be gentle. And if you enjoy having your entire worldview systematically dismantled, hit subscribe. Give this a like if we successfully shattered at least one myth you secretly held on to. We know we did.